Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a military spouse advice video, as well as being dual military and being married advice video. So back to what I was saying. So yeah, it's just going to be an advice video on marriage, being dual military and being married, and what I've learned. I'm no longer in the Army anymore. My husband still is. He is a 19 kilo, which is a tanker in the United States Army. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I have the 4 bullet points that I'm gonna hit in this video in my notes. So the first thing that I've learned, I don't know why I keep saying we. The first thing that I've learned is putting God first, and I think that he should always be first. And if that's not your forte, if you aren't religious, then do whatever works for you. But I'm just telling you everything that we've learned, and number 1 would be putting God first. So when you're going through, for us, I'll start off with our experience being dual military. So we both, he went to Fort Benning and I went to Fort Jackson. We left within a week of each other. He left first and then I left. And that whole situation was very hard and troubling. And if you guys want to hear about that, just let me know in the comments and I will do a video on that. But it was very challenging in itself. So after we had both of us went through basic AIT, we went to our first duty station, and it started off, so basically when you go through basic training and all of that, you're gonna change. It's just something that happens most of the time, and if the person doesn't change, then they don't change, but most of the time they do. And you just have to, for us, we had to sit down and relearn each other again. We had to sit down and have conversations with each other to check in after being apart for so long, understanding each other again, because like I said, you do change. And especially, you know, I don't want to say men aren't mature. That's not what I'm going to say. Men take a little bit longer to mature, if you know what I mean. So them going through an experience like that is going to mature them, and you just have to be willing to sit down. And that brings me to my next point, which is communication. Being willing to sit down and communicate with your partner about anything and everything, because they can't read your mind, and you're coming from, you know, not being with each other for a long time to being with each other and living with each other all over again. And so you have to learn, you know, what, not necessarily learn, you know, what annoys each other, or, you know, what ticks them off, because that type of stuff is still kind of the same. But a lot of things change when you go through an experience like that, and it can be in a good way and a bad way. It just depends on the person. For us, it was a good way, and we had to learn each other all over again, and it was very hard, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Also, just being willing to just listen to each other, really, truly, and honestly listen. Don't listen to having a response. Just listen to what they're saying. And then when you listen and you understand what they're saying, listen and understand. And when you listen and understand what they're saying, then you communicate back, okay, so this is how I feel, you know, simple communication. Especially because there's times where you will go without talking to them if they go on a training. Even when you get to the duty station, there will be times where you don't talk because they can't talk because they're in the field and stuff like that. And you just have to be willing to communicate how you feel and being understanding as they should be to you, because at the end of the day, if you are young and you are doing this, like we were both young, you don't know a lot, and they should understand that it's new to you too, and it's hard for you too, and they should be willing to understand that as well. It shouldn't just be you being, you know, the most understanding and all of that. So the next point, so I said the first point was God, the second point was communication, and then the third point is willing to grow together, because like I said, you're going to change. Both of you are going to change, whether you're a civilian dating somebody in the military or, you know, you're dual military. You're going to change. It's just life. You grow up, you learn new stuff, you mature in different ways. You know, you're gonna change. So being willing to grow together and learn about each other and the new things that that person is bringing to you, whether that's how they're feeling, the experience that they went through, you know, how basic training affected them mentally. You should be able to sit down, talk about it. Also, just making each other feel validated no matter what, no matter if you understand at that moment or not. Don't devalidate how they feel, because then that just puts a tarnish on communication, because then they're going to feel like they can't communicate with you because you're making them feel like devalidated and not understood or heard sometimes. So just like then that just, I can't even talk today. That brings me to my next point, which is patience. And just being willing to, just having patience and knowing that, you know, both of you guys are, you know, knowing that you guys are both going through a new experience that you haven't went through before, it's a lot. And if you are willing to grow with that person, willing to wake up and choose to love each other every single day, it'll be okay. No matter what you go through, it'll be okay, because at the end of the day, that'll be your best friend, the only person you want to come to, and vice versa. So, you know, also just being able to stay grounded, because especially if you're dual military, it's so easy to be so stressed about everything that you have going on with work and the other person has going on with work. So one, being able to just turn it off when you get home. Leave it at work. Don't bring it home, because it's just unnecessary problems and more stress in your marriage or relationship, whichever one. And it's unnecessary at the end of the day. Leave it at work. Don't bring it home. And being able, just learning how to be able to do that, because that is very hard, especially, you know, like I said, when it's new to you and you haven't gotten down a routine and you haven't learned how to just, you know, let it go. Like when you step through the door, leave all that work stuff outside, because when you bring it into your marriage and into your home, it just creates more stress and more, you know, arguments or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, just, you know, so the 3 points that I've said so far was putting God first, in my opinion. I'm Christian, we are both Christian, so that has been the main thing, the number one thing that's been in our marriage. Then comes communication. Then it's willing to grow together. And then the last thing is going to be, you know, patience, like I've said. And also being open-minded to the fact that you're always going to be learning about your spouse, no matter what, whether they're in the military or not. You're always going to be learning. There's never going to be a time where you're like, okay, I know everything about you. No, because we're human. We grow, we change, and even if it's little things, you know, little things that you do, that's still learning about that person. And you just, like I said, like I've been saying this whole time, I keep repeating myself, but being willing, that's what it is, being willing. And also, both of you guys being, understanding that it's not easy. Whether you're 18 doing this or 30 doing this, it's not easy. And that comes with being in a relationship and being married, or being in a relationship and your plan is to get married. It's a lot, like I've been saying, it's a lot, but it is so rewarding. And especially being young, you have to be in the mindset that you are, especially being married and in the military, you know, you're going to get your own place, you know, you're going to be paying your own bills. If you're used to, you know, having your parents or whoever do things for you, pay bills for you and things like that, it's all going to be onto you, and you just have to be prepared to deal with that, because like I've been saying, it's a lot. And also having that great support system behind you, because you can be strong for your spouse, but you're also going to need, okay, so listen, this is a good analogy. You pouring into your spouse and your spouse pouring into you. And then people pouring into, you know, people pouring into me, like my mom, his mom, God. Those type of things. You have to be able to have your own support system, so that when, you know, your husband isn't there, your girlfriend, your wife isn't there, you'll have somebody else to talk to about what you're going through, or what you're experiencing, or what's stressing you out, you know, or just to call to talk to, because it can be very lonely when you go from being around everyone you know, your family, your friends, your best friends, to going to be on a base with just your spouse and not knowing anyone. Especially if you're a civilian and you just got married to, you know, your spouse, it can be very lonely. So also just being willing to, you know, make friends when you can. For me, because I was military, I do know people on this base. So that's, you know, cool, whatever. But, you know, like I said, just having a support system for yourself so that you can support your spouse, and vice versa, all of that. So yeah, and also understanding that the work is never gonna stop. Just like you're never gonna stop learning about each other, the work of building your marriage up and keeping it strong is never gonna stop. No, it shouldn't be something that's like, now I gotta do this for him, I gotta do this for her, there's something else wrong with her. Like, it should never, or him, it should never be a hassle. And if it does get to the point where it's a hassle, you need to sit down and, like I said, go back to communication and talk about that to fix those problems. So the 4 points that I've said and the 4 points that I've learned so far, and there's plenty more, of course. And if you guys want to know about our experience and how it was, us being military and then both of us going to basic training and how that was, just leave a comment down below and I will do that video for you guys. So yeah, that's basically gonna be the end of this video. My voice has been cracking this whole time. It's gonna be the end of this video. Just choose love. Just choose to love each other every day. Just because if you're far from your family, you two are the only two people that have each other, and you should always want to go to them. That should be your best friend. So even when they get on your nerves, it's just normal. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video. If you guys want to know about, like I said, our experience, my experience being dual military, or if you have any questions and want any advice, go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I will make sure that I comment back. And also, if you don't want your business out like that, whatever, you can go ahead and DM me on Instagram, and I will be sure to answer those questions for you. So yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.